Hello and welcome to the Asus VivoBook X200 first look. We've had a chance to really get our hands on this, Sasha. What are our first impressions?
Well, our first impressions are that it's a budget laptop. It's 11.6 inches. It's covered in a rather sort of, actually I think it's quite a nice feeling by budget standards. It's like a textured white matte finish, 11.6 inch touchscreen. Inside there's an Intel Celeron, and the big news, Tim,
I think it might be the price, mightn't it, Sasha?
It might be the price, yeah. As most budget laptops, its appeal is the price. It's $289 right now.
Yes, which is an excellent price for a laptop, even though we are used to prices plummeting down. That's still very unusual to go below £300 for something that's decent quality.
Well, this is it. I mean, we've seen a lot of Windows tablets recently that are creeping around the 300 mark, but, you know, they're Atom devices, and they're all, you know, necessarily they're a bit smaller, they're not quite so usable. This is a laptop which you could use as an everyday laptop. There's a perfectly decent Intel Celeron processor in there, 4 gigs of RAM, 500GB hard disk. Again, one of the things we've noticed with the Windows tablets that are cheaper, you tend to get tiny little SSD storage on them. This really has very little missing. Even connectivity, USB 2, one USB 3 port, gigabit Ethernet, VGA port, HDMI. It's all the basics there.
Okay, it is, but tell us about the actual screen. Is it any good?
It's not great. I mean, you don't expect budget laptop screens to be great, but it's 1366 by 768 resolution. It's quite dim. It's a TN panel. TN panels tend to have very narrow viewing angles, a bit washed out. It's usable, but it's not good.
Yeah, and from my play with this, what I say is that it feels quite like a disposable laptop almost. It's one you'd feel quite happy to give the kids, for example, or maybe give to a student for their first, second, third year at university. It's not a main laptop, is it, Sasha?
I guess not. I mean, the battery life is limited. It's only got 5 hours battery life. It's not that high powered, but you know, just for a basic everyday laptop, I think it's pretty decent.
Well, you say not too high power, but there is a decent processor in there with the Intel Celeron. I know the Celeron has a bit of a bad name, but I think that's a bit unfair. These days, the modern Celeron processors are fairly fast. Yeah,
I mean, our benchmarks, it gets around 0.45-ish, which is pretty similar to like a little bit behind the Core i3s, the Ivy Bridge Core i3s. It really is fine. Dual core. In everyday use, unless you're sort of really hurting it with video and coding and things like that and video editing, it's going to be fine.
Okay, so your final verdict then, Sasha, you know, is this a piece of hot hardware?
I'd struggle to call a budget laptop hot, but for $289, I'd say this almost manages it.
Click to subscribe to our YouTube channel and come back every Wednesday for new hot hardware videos.